How do? It's time for. I mean, I say it's time for. It's the first Monday of the month. It is like the 6th of July, but it's still the first Monday of the month. So I am on target, and that means it's time for my 52 game challenge update, which is fast becoming my favourite thing to do on this channel. It's pretty much the raison d'etre of this channel right now. I just love talking about games. It's just even if nobody watches, I just love talking about games, and I love talking about games I've played. And that kind of thing is just really spurring me on to keep doing this at the minute, because like every time I post a video or something, without getting too much into like a bit of a downer video, every time I post a video or post something on Instagram, I think I should probably just not do this anymore. But I absolutely fucking love doing the 52 game challenge videos. I did want to keep this a little bit succinct and to the point, and I've already started rambling about shit that's not in any way, you know, crucial to the video at all. So yeah, I had a week off work this month, and I say this month, I mean in June. I was gonna delve back into Crimson Desert now they've updated it a bit and see if I could get into it when I had a week off and I had pretty much nothing planned, which are the best kind of weeks. So I was like hoping to get a good like sort of 30 hours into Crimson Desert in that week, if not more. But then I changed my mind and thought, no, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scratch some short games off my list. Get my numbers up a bit because I was dwindling a little bit. One second, I'm going to get a drink. Need to get my Xbox fridge set up somewhere. Gonna want some cold drinks soon. Say soon, it's already been the Armageddon, hasn't it? Anyway, yeah. So yeah, I put the best part of that week into getting through some shorter games. Stuff that been sat on, not even sat on my backlog that long. Just what I like to do is when I'm creating, as well as like a physical pile of games to play that I keep downstairs in the living room. It's looking quite dark in here, isn't it? Sorry about that. It's got very overcast all of a sudden. Anyway, I like to keep a physical pile of games in my living room that I want to play, but I also keep a spreadsheet of games that I want to play, which is like 500 games strong. And what I like to do is go on howlongtobeat.com and keep a tally of how long these games are that I want to play through. Got myself a drink and didn't actually drink any of it. So these aren't games that have necessarily been on my pile for a long time. They're just games that I knew I could blast through mostly in the space of like a day in like one sitting. And games that I have been excited to play. So yeah, this first one, it's a bit of a landmark for me because it's the first VR game I have finished, and that is Drums Rock on the. It's a VR game. It's available on all video games. I played it on the Meta Quest 3. I'm not sort of differentiating that as its own platform on the list, so I just refer to VR games as VR. So yeah, played Drums Rock on VR. I finished this. It was number 25 game of the year. I finished it on the 8th of June, and it's an absolute blast. It's your sort of standard Guitar Hero fare. Obviously, it's just drums, because I think playing guitar on VR is probably a little bit too complex with your hand movements and stuff. So yeah, it's just a simple sort of Guitar Hero style game where you I've only got one of these to hand for the ones on the other side of the room for some reason. But yeah, you've got your headset on, you can see what's in front of you, and you're using your controllers as drumsticks. In fact, you've got to like hold on with you've got to grip it. I think it's with that one. It's either one of those two. You have to actually grip your stick with those. If you let go of those buttons, you'll drop your stick, and then you've got to like sort of reach behind, pull another one out. It's really good. Sort of like the setting is very Guitar Hero 3. You're in hell. You've got demons flying towards you, and the demons are different colours, and those are the colours that correspond with the colours on your drum, like around your drums. Like on the Guitar Hero, you'd on the drum kits, you'd have colours around the things to show which ones to hit. Yeah, that's the same sort of thing. But obviously your drum is completely virtual. Your drum kit is completely virtual this time, and it somehow feels better than Guitar Hero. You're just not having to actually have your kit set up. And there was always the problems on Guitar Hero where if you hit it too hard, it'd register as 2 hits. there's none of that to worry about. You can move your kit around where, if you want it closer to you or further away, up or down, just to suit your preferences. There's all sorts of like different drum kits and hands and sticks to unlock. It's just a laugh. The campaign goes in sort of the same way as Guitar Hero. You just have different set lists. The only problems I have with it are a lot of the songs are original songs. I think metal is, although I dabble, it is not my metal and rock music aren't really my forte. I am more into I'm into all music, but I'm into like punk rock and hip hop mostly. And while there's a few like Offspring tracks and stuff on there, it's mostly sort of hard rock and metal. And I think that the songs, a lot of them are original. So whereas knowing a song on Guitar Hero is probably to your detriment, because like you expect to be able to play it like if you play actual guitar, you expect it to play like you would play it in real life, and it's not often the case. The drums are virtually one-to-one, so it's like if you sort of know how to play a song on drums or know how the drum beat goes, it will be how you play it on the game. If you don't know the song because it's original, then it's kind of hard. You don't know what's coming, do you, until you've heard it a few times. Obviously, because there's no way to track your feet movements, the bass drum is one of the, I think it's like where one of the floor toms would be, so it's weird hitting the bass with the drumstick. It's like, say you bass snare, bass snare. It's like you're doing that with your hand, whereas you're normally using this hand to keep time with the hi-hat, and it's weird, but it does, it doesn't take long to get into the flow of it. The songs that are licensed seem to be cover songs as well. I think it was weird because one of the only songs I knew on there, it's not a song that I like, but I do know it quite well, and that's Bring Me to Life by Evanescence. I was playing that and they completely cut out the bit where the guy sings. That's weird. But yeah, they're well made cover versions, and the DLC songs, there's like an Offspring pack, there's a Lit pack, quite a few bands that I do like, and they seem to be the proper versions, so yeah. Overall, if you've got VR and you like Guitar Hero, I do fully recommend playing this because it's such a laugh. I really enjoyed it. It's a good workout too. After playing it, my arms were killing. The second game I played through, which was, again, it was one that I started playing before June. It's not a short game that, like I said, that I've been playing. This was my game number 26, halfway there. Living on a prayer, as I put in the group chat. Halfway to 52. I finished this on the 15th of June. This is Yakuza Kiwami 3 on the PS5. It's essentially a remake of Yakuza 3. I think that was the first one that came out on the PS3. It's the Kiwami series, though, are sort of the old games remade and dialed up to 11, so like the combat's a lot more sort of explosive and over the top. Stupid, like, mental things happen that don't happen like in the original games and stuff like that. People complained about this one. They said it didn't created with the care that Kiwami 1 and 2 had, and I'm not sure about that, to be honest. I really, really enjoyed it, like, just in terms of playing the games and all the bits that they've added into it. Like, there's cooking mini games. Like if you run in your orphanage, you can cook for the kids. You can play with the kids, like play games with them and stuff like that. The cooking is taken straight from Pirate. I think it's from Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. There's a lot of the mini games from like the last couple of mainline Yakuza games, like a Dragon games, like the photography stuff. There's your social media one where you can make friends with people in the town. They've sort of taken the pirate crew like sub game thing from Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii and turned it into like an all girl biker gang mini game, which is, they say all girl biker gang, but half my crew ended up being men. Where you sort of assemble this, you sort of fall in with this all girl biker gang who's only got like 4 members at first, or 3 or something. And then as like you take them under your wing and start recruiting other members for him to take down this like rival gang that's like super evil and corrupt. I really fucking enjoyed that mode. I loved going around collecting other people, and I mean I loved the pirate crew mode in Pirate Yakuza as well. But I loved going around sort of recruiting all the members, taking down the enemy gangs and stuff like that. I don't normally engage with things like that, you know, like side quests and stuff, as much as I did with that one. Really, really enjoyed doing that. The rest of the game's just it's fine. It's just your standard Yakuza. It's not the best Yakuza in the series anyway, number three, I don't think. So it was never going to be up to the standards of one and two, put it that way. And also, without spoiling anything, they've changed the ending in quite a big way, which looks like a good spell. I mean, they've already said that Yakuza Kiwami 4, if there is at all going to be a Kiwami 4, it's going to be vastly different to Yakuza 4. I think they're sort of moving this away now in like a separate sort of alternate universe continuity of its own thing from now on. So I'll be interested to see how that goes. But the main gripe I have with it is that they've sort of retooled the combat. They've made it so you spend money to upgrade, like I think you did. It was either in Yakuza 0 or one of the earlier ones. Like you spend money to upgrade your abilities rather than XP, but whereas I'm pretty sure it was 0, but I might be wrong. In that you got money thrown at you to upgrade your abilities. On this one you don't particularly. You've got like one skill tree on this one, so like there's a new fighting style which I really didn't gel with, which uses different weapons and stuff. I usually just stick with the Dragon and Djima fighting style. But I couldn't upgrade the Dragon fighting style without upgrading bits of the others that I didn't want to use first. Things like the heat actions, where normally it's like context sensitive, you just build up a meter and press triangle in a context sensitive area. Like, say if you're on the side of a bridge, you'll kick them over the side, or if you're next to a wall, it'll slam the face into the wall. If they're on the floor, it'll stomp the face and stuff like that. The heat actions were built into combos, which I always struggle with. Remembering different combos and stuff, but I didn't want to put the one button mode on. Don't mind playing stuff like Devil May Cry and Bayonetta with that, because that just adds to the flair of it. But I don't know, it just felt like too much cheating in Yakuza when the combos, they're not really that complex anyway. But I kind of, as far as I go with combos, is like hammering quick attack and then a couple of like heavy attacks at the end, and that's as far as I always remember. I can't really put my mind to it any more than that. So I didn't get to have as many interesting things happen in combat as I normally would, especially on the Kiwami games. But the sort of overcharge thing, when you fill up a separate meter and then you can sort of activate like a power boost, that was quite good. You finish that off with a finishing move, but it's always the same finishing move, which is a shame. And also, the enemies are absolute bastards for blocking in this game, and it's every single enemy you fight has got like a sort of upgraded sort of overcharge mode 2, and they always do it immediately in the fight, so all they do is block, and it's kind of frustrating. So yeah, while it's not the best Yakuza in the world, it is still good. It is still Yakuza, and I still love it. But there are others in the series that I would recommend over this. I didn't know how to, because I only finished Yakuza Kiwami 3, I didn't finish Dark Ties, which is a packing game on this as well, so I didn't know how to count this, but I've decided I am counting the two separately, because although they weren't released separately, it still doesn't just say Yakuza Kiwami 3, it says Yakuza Kiwami 3 and Dark Ties. It's still marketed as two separate games, so I am counting them separately. If you don't like it, then I don't care, you're not my real dad, you can't tell me what to do. Number 27 was a game that I really wanted to play because of a little bit of controversy. It's Mixtape. I finished it on the Switch 2 on the 16th of June. I think it was the second game of my week off, but it was the first game that I played for completely on my week off. There's a controversy about it because it was getting perfect scores on a lot of places, and people, specifically the Crimson Desert lot, were complaining that their games got 100 and odd hours of really in-depth gameplay, and you can do all sorts and stuff, and yeah, this game, which was like 3-4 hours long and you barely even play it, was getting better reviews. I wanted to see, for someone who's played Crimson Desert and didn't like it, and to be honest, I would rather spend 3 hours stapling my balls to a cactus than 100 hours on Crimson Desert. At least as it was when I last played it. So 3 hours playing this is infinitely like a lot more enticing than playing through Crimson Desert again. But yeah, not every game has to be a massive open world thing. That's the thing. That's what people don't seem to see. sometimes quality is better than quantity, and sometimes a nice, tight, short experience is better than just an overinflated, pack as much as you can in kind of massively buggy, glitchy mess. So while I am under the impression that both types of games like have a right to exist, well, that's basically what I'm saying. Both types of games have a right to exist, and it's okay to like one better than the other, and it's okay if other people don't like your game better than anything else. There's so much childishness in the gaming scene lately, and it's just stupid. But yeah, so I played Mixtape anyway, and what Mixtape is like sort of it's basically an interactive movie. Essentially, it's very John Hughes. It's set in a American sort of like I don't know what area in America it is. You know, like everything's like there's forests all over the place, big tall trees, and it's always like a hazy summer. And yeah, playing as a group of sort of three sort of outcast kids, like they're sort of not the cool kids, they're just like stoner like outcasts, sort of in between us, who decide that like they were going to go on a big road trip together, but one of them's decided she's leaving to try and become a music producer. Um, and she's going to New York, and it's basically the day before she leaves, and then the other two leave for their road trip, and they want to have sort of the best night ever before they go. And basically the whole story is the day leading up to that night and what they do, trying to score drinks, trying just getting through the day and preparing for this big night. It's quite feel good. The characters are awful, but I really enjoyed it. It's so hard to explain or to even recommend to anybody, but I really fucking enjoyed this game. It's sort of, if you like films like the John Hughes films, specifically stuff like Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, stuff like that, you know, the sort of late 80s, early 90s, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, the type of like just kids getting up to stuff, generally not acting like kids, like they're a bit more mature than, like the way they talk and everything's a bit more mature than they should be. The grown-ups are trying to stop them, but you know they don't stop, and they defy authority and all that kind of thing. It's just really sort of feel good, and it's like it's very evocative of the films I grew up with when I was younger. When I was younger, I had Ferris Bueller's Day Off on tape, and I watched it every day for probably 2 years. It's one of my favourite films ever, and there's just such a good homage to that at the end of this game as well, which is fantastic. Gameplay wise, there isn't much to it. You cut between scenes where you're sort of walking around an environment, like one of the characters' bedrooms or something, just picking things up, talking about like examining things, talking to your friends, and then there'll be cutscenes, and then there'll be like sort of like a skateboarding section or something like that. All the while, you've got, I think it's 19 like bespoke pieces of music that have been picked, which are like all licensed music, and people go on about how great the soundtrack to this game is. To me, it was like just sort of okay. It was very sort of safe, if you get what I mean. There are some really good picks like Devo and I can't think what else for the time being, but there are some like a couple of really good tracks in there. But like for a lot of it, it was just kind of like insipid stuff. The main character is supposed to be this musical genius who can sort of create a soundtrack to any event or occasion, just based on her own knowledge of music. But she's like basically like every teenager is when they when they first discover their dad's record collection and listen to Bob Dylan for the first time and think that they fucking and know everything about music from that moment on. That's essentially what your main character is. So it's not as deep as it likes to think, but like I said, I really fucking enjoyed it. I do have a thing for games where you play as annoying hipster girls. I love Life is Strange. I've just started playing Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, getting quite into that. I do want to play Goodbye Volcano High. But yeah, so I do have kind of like an affinity for games where you play as annoying hipster girls. But that aside, I do think people should play it as well. I think I played it on the correct way, the perfect way to play it, which was it was a warm night. We had the curtains open, the windows open. I had a couple of beers, and I played through it in one sitting in the evening as the sun went down, essentially. And I think that was kind of the best way to play it. It sort of heightens a lot of what the game evokes, if you get what I mean. Do I think it's Game of the Year material? No, I do not. Do I think it deserved perfect scores? No, I do not. It's like I'd probably give it like a 7.5 out of 10. Do I think everybody should play it? Yes, I do. Do I think it's better than Crimson Desert? Yes, I do. So that's Mixtape. I played it on the Switch too. It's available on other systems. And I finished that on the 16th of the 6th, and that was game number 27. Game number 28 was a game I have played before. I played it through it last year on Steam, and I've sort of been telling the saga to everybody who listen about trying to get a physical copy of this from Lost in Cult, which was not it was a stressful task, put it that way. They're one of these companies where, you know, they make sort of small batch games, like limited run, strictly limited, that kind of thing. The problem is with Thank Goodness You're Here is that, thank goodness you're here, that's the game. The problem is with Lost in Cult is that they make their own bespoke collector's editions, and when you order something, that's all they care about. So any update that they give is about these bespoke collector's editions, and no update at all from ordering this standard version of this game to it actually arriving. Not even a dispatch. I got a dispatch email nearly a week after I'd received it. So yeah, just the customer service for this has been dog shit. Every time I've asked them on Instagram or messaged them about asking for any updates, they've always said, oh yeah, we're shipping next week. And then it's been like months again until it actually came. But it did finally come, as I've mentioned in a recent pickups video. That was Thank Goodness You're Here. I played through this in, I think it was over 2 sittings, from after I finished Mixtape on the 16th, and then I finished it on the 17th. That was game number 28. It's a little slice of life for if you're from Yorkshire. It's like playing through like a cartoon version of, like, I said Coronation Street in the last video, didn't I? But that's not Yorkshire. Emmerdale's Yorkshire. So it's like playing a cartoon version of Emmerdale, but like heightened, like with sort of Adventure Time sort of ordinary show, I think. Is that a thing? I don't know. But that kind of humour. You're just a little guy wandering around a town and everybody wants helping with something. Whenever you meet anyone, the first thing they say is, thank goodness you're here. And then they ask you to do a task, whereas like the examples I gave before where someone's stuck in a hole and you need butter to get him out. There's a guy who wants tools fetching, there's somebody who wants the grass mowing, stuff like that. And you're basically just going around doing different tasks for everybody in this town, and it's hilarious. Everything costs 10 bob. It's so Yorkshire, it's untrue. It's like, it's Yorkshire to other people, it's Yorkshire in a comedic effect. To people from Yorkshire, it's just Yorkshire. So yeah, anybody from Yorkshire, or from like at least the north of England even, should play this game. It's fantastic. It's only available from Lost in Cult physically. Digitally, it's usually quite cheap. I got it on Steam for a couple of quid. So I do recommend anyone play that. It's hilarious, and it only takes about 3 hours. Game number 29, which I finished 2 days later on the 19th. I had a little day where I didn't finish one. On the PlayStation 5, I finished Hood Story Kaito Yamazaki, which is a sort of very low budget indie Yakuza Shenmue style clone. Brought to my attention a while back by Eddie Rollerco. And at first I wasn't going to bother getting it, but then when, like, after, for some reason, Game Collection got some stock in, they were selling it for like $17.99, I think it's 15 quid now. And it worked out cheaper than buying it from Red Art Games, which is who's published it. So I wasn't going to get it physically. I had it earmarked on Steam waiting for a sale, but I thought when I saw how cheap the physical one was, I had to get it for my sort of Yakuza adjacent collection, if anything at all. I did go into this wanting to like it, because I didn't think I was going to. I found when indie games get too ambitious, that's when they start to lose quality. But I actually didn't mind it at all. It's only about 4 hours long. You've got like, you're a guy who's in charge of a gang. It's like a delinquent gang. It's not like a sort of Yakuza style thing where there's thousands of people under you. You're just a delinquent gang, and you're sort of brawling with other delinquent gangs. A little bit like what's the game now? Friends of Ringo Ishikawa. Well, this one's in like sort of in sort of like a 3D environment, and you're sort of walking around the same sort of area as you do in Yakuza, the sort of red light district of Osaka, and it's just a short story about how you wanting to leave your gang, how you got into it, and then things don't go right, and you have to sort of do one last big sort of mission before you can leave your gang. Story of betrayal and romance and all that, but it's like, I can't stress enough, this is a very low budget game, and the sort of walking around mechanics and stuff like that are comical, how bad they are. The voice acting was mostly done by AI, but still sounds terrible. It's like probably the cheapest AI they could find. It just has a certain charm, especially as a Yakuza fan, and I ended up quite enjoying it. The best part about it was the combat, actually, which when you get into a combat situation, it sort of turns into sort of a side-scrolling beat-em-up, where you just have, it's not like, you don't have like a level that you've got to go through, it's a bit more like, what's the game, Combat Tribes, where there's like just one sort of area and you have to go back and forwards until the enemies are dead. And it just plays out like sort of like a sort of, not an amazing beat 'em up, but like just like your standard side scrolling beat 'em up. You've got you've got strong attacks, weak attacks. You've got a back attack, and then when you build up a meter, you can use one of the shoulder buttons to sort of grapple people and do a finisher move, which is usually some kind of like wrestling move, like a suplex or a power bomb or something. There's weapons you can pick up like knives, guns, baseball bats, stuff like that. It's fun, and it's more fun than you'd expect it to be. I mean, I have turned away from, like I said, the more ambitious indie games in the past. Like Daymare 1998 comes to mind. I couldn't play that game because of how janky it was and how much it was trying to do and failing to do it. So this game does try to do a lot. Doesn't quite get there, but it's not unplayable, and I actually, by the end of it, I had quite a lot of fondness for that game. It's quite fun. Can I recommend it? Not really, but I enjoyed it, and I think a saving grace was how short it is as well. Because obviously you see something like that, you expect it to be 30 hours, and it's not. It's like 4 hours. I had fun with it. After that one was a game I played digitally on the Xbox Series X. It's Planet of Lana 2. Played through the original one earlier this year for the first time, actually, on the PC, and I loved it. Basically, it's like Limbo or Inside. It's like a side-scrolling puzzle platformer, but Planet of Lana's a lot more sort of colourful and less bleak than Limbo and Inside. The main sort of selling point is you've got this little cat character called Mui, who follows you about, and you can sort of direct it off to help you, sort of in the same way as like Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. You can direct it off to do like one half of a puzzle while you do another one. It's a weird way of like, instead of like controlling both with the joysticks like you do in Brothers, though, it's like you control yourself with a joystick. You control Mui with the right stick, but it's more like a point and click. Like instead of controlling it directly, you point and click to where you want it to go and stuff like that. Works quite well. Well, it works really well, actually. I really enjoyed this one. Whereas the first game was very sort of War of the Worlds coded, the second one it's got like a Star Wars vibe to it. Like original trilogy Star Wars, like with sort of derelict husks of spaceships and stuff knocking about. Gives that kind of feel. There's a lot more variety in the environments, instead of just being basically in ruins of a spaceship or in like your sort of tropical island kind of setting like you were in the first one. This one's got like a sort of more sort of misty kind of wet rainforest environment. There's snow, there's mountains, there's more industrial environments. It's sort of a lot more variety in what you can see. Gameplay wise, it's virtually the same. I wasn't 100% as into it as I was in the first one. Basically, it's non-verbal and it's left to you to decipher what's going on, and I missed out, it seems, on a fairly crucial aspect of the first game's storyline, which is then quite a big part of the second game. And the second game, it sort of has an intro, like a verbalized intro, where it tells you what happened in the last game, and then it's left to you to sort of figure it out again. And there's a lot more going on, and I think it would have benefited a lot from having like English subtitles, at least on like a New Game Plus mode, like with like Ico or something like that. It's still an absolutely fantastic puzzle platformer. I don't know if I'm getting better at this kind of game, because like with Brothers, I didn't actually have to use a guide at all, which is, I normally have to at least consult one at one point. This one was absolutely fine. Just went through it. There were a couple of places where I got stuck for a couple of minutes, but then I figured it out. Or my wife would chime in with something and tell me what to do. Really super enjoyed it. I finished that was game number 30. I finished it on the 22nd of June, and really, really loved that. If you love like side-scrolling platformers, puzzle games, anything from like Abe's Odyssey through to like I said, Limbo, Inside, or stuff like Brothers and that, where it's just like sort of, there is peril, but it's not about shooting or stomping enemies. It's about avoiding them and solving puzzles and stuff like that. If you like that kind of thing, I fully recommend the Planet of Lana games. They're absolutely fantastic. And lastly, I'm not counting this as a number. It's just a bit of a Brucey bonus. I was going to count it, because it is quite a long game. I've been playing this like basically in the evenings for the space of a month, essentially. But I already finished it this year on Steam. I thought I'd finished it last year, but I finished it on the first few days of 2026 on Steam. But then the physical edition came out and I got the physical one as well. So I was going to count this, but then I thought I don't really want to count the same game twice in 1 year. So a little bonus completion, but not counted as number 31. That's Ball Pit on the Switch. For those who don't know, Ball Pit is kind of like, it's like a roguelite sort of Space Invaders meets Breakout, where you've got waves of enemies coming down the screen at you, and you're controlling the character who's like firing little balls up to like reflecting off walls and stuff to wipe out your enemies, and it's a lot of fun. It's one of my favourite games. It was one of my top games of last year. It's going to be, because I count physical copies as new releases, so it's probably going to be in my top list this year as well. Fully recommend that. It's just absolutely fantastic. It's so much fun. It's hard to do it justice by explaining to it, but it's just got that kind of gameplay loop. It's got like a similar gameplay loop with Cult of the Lamb, as in you're doing like runs and then you're coming back and tending to your town, and then you're going out and doing another run and coming back and tending to your town. It's got that kind of one more go feel to it, which cannot be replicated. Well, it can be replicated obviously because of Cult of the Lamb, but that kind of feeling of just one more go, it's a rarity nowadays. It's hard to come by. I've now finished it twice this year actually, and I think like everybody should give it a go. If you like stuff like Vampire Survivors, Cult of the Lamb, other roguelites and stuff like that, in my opinion, it's one of the best roguelites. I'm new to the genre, so for a while I just didn't want to play them, but in my opinion, it's one of the best ones that I've played at least. So yeah, I finished that on the 23rd of the 6th. Not counting it as a number, but it's like a little bonus completion. So yeah, thanks for watching. Really love doing this, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye.